Hello and welcome to the Lads Talk podcast. I'm your host Sadiq, and today I'm joined by my good friends and co-hosts Daniel, Garris and Jamie. How are you guys today?
Good, what about you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you.
I've been good.
Good, I'm glad to hear it. We've had a bundle of laughs today as well, so I'm happy and I hope this can be a very happy podcast. But I think what we should start with today is by talking about the recent World Cup events which took place about a week ago now. In particular, the finals, which were very interesting, very entertaining, and arguably one of the best World Cup finals we've seen in a while. But it isn't the amazing final that I want to focus on per se. It's more the presentation that occurred afterwards. So did anyone see or does anyone know what I'm talking about by any chance?
Yeah, when Messi was awarded the Golden Ball,
Yep.
and then the supervisors of the World Cup gave him to wear this sort of robe
Yeah,
that was given for royalty or something along those lines.
Absolutely. So it's Messi was being awarded or given the World Cup so he can take it to his squad and they can celebrate together. It's part of the usual presentation, but in a kind of the FIFA president and another gentleman, I'm unsure exactly who it was, they were awarding him, kind of clothing him with this robe, which typically you see in Arab countries. It's usually worn by imams, sheikhs, people of royalty and class. So it was done and it was given to him as a show of respect and honor. But there's nothing weird about that. That was very nice. It was really, I think, while we were watching, that was really enjoyable to see. But the bizarre thing was how the media reacted to it. For example, BBC News, not BBC News, Gary Lineker, when they were commentating, he said something along the lines of, they kind of ruined it by giving him the robe, So the Sun, Daily Mail, and newspaper outlets or news outlets, they were saying things like, "Oh, it was very bizarre, it was very strange," and things like this. And what we've seen now that the World Cup has ended, we're even seeing that even at the end, where they are showing kind of respect and honor towards a player, towards football, through kind of involving the culture and involving the traditions of the native country in the World Cup. Even that's been taken in the wrong light, and we've seen this throughout in the Qatar World Cup, where the traditions or the cultures have been attacked, especially by the media. Why do you think, Jamie? Why do you think this has been the case, especially for Qatar? What's the problem with the media and Qatar?
I would probably say it's the fact that they're bringing in this new thing, like with the World Cup just finished, when Messi was being rewarded with the trophy, and him wearing this royal robe, bringing something new in. Not necessarily a bad thing, but doing something that isn't normal, to say. The fact that they're doing something a bit out of the ordinary to some people, I think it would be not wise, but it would make more sense if they just kept things the way they were. And if they wanted to do stuff like that, like with Messi being given the reward, it would make more sense to people if they just kept it normal and they done traditional things to keep people happy, and then did things randomly or on a special occasion.
So traditional things in the sense you mean like just purely football,
Just
rather
keep
than
it football based, yeah.
Okay, what I would say is in previous World Cups in different countries like Mexico, for example, when Pele won, Brazil won the World Cup. I can't remember the year exactly. I'm really bad with my historical knowledge. But when Pele won the World Cup, he was given a Mexican hat. So Pele's given a Mexican hat in Mexico, and Messi's been given a let's just say a Qatari or Arab robe
In
Saudi
Qatar.
Arabia, or not Saudi Arabia, in an Arab country. Yeah. So if you look at it, they're both the same thing. It's the same icon. It's just a different culture and a different
representation of
representation. So I'm sure that you don't even know about the Pele thing, right?
No.
But it's been made such a big deal that, oh, how could they clothe him like that? How could they do that? They ruined the picture. No, they haven't. It's showing this guy went to an Arab country and he won the World Cup there, and it's proof. Look, he's wearing an Arab outfit, okay? Whereas Pele, for example, oh look, he must have won that in Mexico because look, he's wearing a Mexican hat. Yeah, so it's I think you're correct in some way that football can be kept as football, but I think that if you're in another country, you're celebrating that country's traditions and culture, you'll find that, and I think that's beautiful to be remembered in that way. But leading on, and I'm gonna ask Danielle. I know Danielle wants to pitch in here. Football remaining as football in this Qatar World Cup, the media really haven't kept it like that. What they've done is attacked Qatar from all directions. Like it's not been about football at all. It's been about, oh, Qatar's culture is really horrible. Oh, Qatar's traditions are really horrible. Their beliefs are horrible. Yada yada yada. Danielle, what do you think about it? The whole kind of fiasco about the Qatar World Cup.
I think it goes back to the Western media, how they hate they portray Islam as in they portray as a religion that
Discriminates?
no, more like a religion that's about war
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And obviously Qatar is like a Muslim country, and for example, the first event, the opening, when they done the opening,
Yep.
there was a Quranic verse that
Yes.
they was reciting.
Beautiful one.
Didn't
They didn't broadcast.
Yeah, they didn't broadcast it, and after that, like they should like it's like Qatar was breaking the norm that
Yep.
they set for people
Yep.
in the Western side, and it's like the media was getting exposed almost.
Yep.
And then it goes back to another point, like for example, we are paying for TV license and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't get to choose what we watch in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching the World Cup live, and all of a sudden it's going out. What's the reason behind it?
Yeah.
It's just like a Quranic verse
Yep.
that it was portraying. It's like that's the light, and they just like trying to hide the light
Yeah,
from us.
hide
put
it. Yeah,
us back in the dark.
absolutely.
Almost.
Like for leading on from what you're saying, it's unbelievable. Like they're talking about, you mentioned a Quran verse, but do you know what the verse actually mentioned? It was talking about, I think it was inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. I think that was the verse, and he was talking about how Allah's or God has made us diverse and scattered us throughout the world so that we can learn from each other. Yeah.
Mhm.
So such an important verse about diversity and equality of us as human beings, and the Western media, they decided in order to pursue their narrative, they just cut it out. And I think really football especially is such a sport which brings all, like there's no sport like football which brings people from around the world together like this, and for such an important ceremony to be missed, and for them to just yap on and really bore people with useless junk, I think they've done a really terrible job, and Western media really messed it up in those in that regard. So I'm really glad that YouTube exists, for example, and this is why we're seeing as time progresses, we're seeing that YouTube and these social media platforms are taking off. You said last week about social media that the reason why people don't trust what's it called, the just usual media.
Mhm.
The reason people don't trust media anymore is because they just portray a narrative, whereas social media belongs to society, and that's why we even got to see the Quranic verse, or we even got to see those beautiful ceremonies, and hear from people and their experiences. So I think that's really important. But for me personally, I find it really disappointing that we watched the final together, we watched the ceremony together, the presentation, and when Messi was given the robe, we all felt like, oh, that's so cool, that's really cool, like he's the champion, he's the leader, he's the GOAT, and it felt so nice to see him be clothed like that. Like, oh, okay, that's kind of suggesting that, yeah, he's the man. Right, Gareth? What do you think?
Yeah, it symbolises like what you said. It symbolises that he used to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they kind of took it away. I guess they can't take it away. Rather, they just kind of ruined it.
They ruined the moment.
Yeah, they're talking about how that ruined the World Cup moment, but they ended up ruining it for themselves, really. So I think it's really disappointing. But speaking of disappointing things, the World Cup is now gone, and we're going back to Premier League football, and we're going back to normality. I guess the normal stuff. But one thing which has really been abnormal and disappointing at the same time, which me and Jamie, myself and Jamie spoke about briefly because you two were missing, unfortunately, that week, was every. Gareth, are you having trauma right now?
Yeah, I'm getting flashbacks.
You're getting
from
flashbacks?
Every.
So every, they have recently come under fire again, no surprise, for actually delivering, is it thousands of millions of deliveries, including some which have turned up to yard sales, Amazon, eBay, for like people's packages have been put up for sale. Yeah, so the delivery drivers have been taking the packages and putting them up for sale.
I did hear that.
And there's no response. There's no response. There's nothing being done about it. And there are thousands and millions of packages undelivered. And every themselves have said that every single day they need to deliver 3 million packages a day, and they haven't done it due to whatever excuse they're giving right now. But we already know this, and it is disappointing, and it has ruined people's experiences this winter period. But could you? We wanted to know what was your experience with Every recently regarding the dustbin? If you could kindly remind us.
So so with that delivery, I was not at home, and the delivery driver took a picture of the dustbin, and the parcel was to be seen nowhere. And then later that night, I went back home, hoping that it was behind the dustbin, which it was, but
It was behind the dustbin.
yeah, it was there.
Okay.
But there was another time where he just took a picture and you couldn't really see it at all in front of the door.
Were you not? You were very far away from home at the time, and you had no idea whether it had actually been delivered.
Yeah.
So you had, I guess, a lot of anxiety, and then did you go all the way back home to check?
Just for that. Yeah.
So, I think it's getting ridiculous now, and I think with other delivery services as well, like Royal Mail going on strike, I think people are really suffering right now, and it's something that is quite difficult, especially I think was it Boxing Day yesterday? So if it was Boxing Day yesterday, most people I'm sure are running to the shops because delivery service and delivery what's it called, the delivery kind of companies are really letting people down at the moment. Jamie, for example, I know you rely heavily on Amazon Prime or Royal Mail and whatnot. Do you does Boxing Day entice you? Does it interest you at all?
The last couple of years, no, because there have been incidents, same as this one yesterday, where I've tried to either go out in person and it's been really hectic and really busy in the shops, and because of, again, parcels not being delivered properly, efficiently, and left in a safe or good place. So no.
Okay. Daniel, what about you? Do you find yourself at the shop scrambling during Boxing Day?
No.
Boxing Day doesn't seem that popular anymore the way it used to. Like, Black Friday, the way people used to storm the shops. Boxing Day, Black Friday, that kind of madness of people lining up at 4 or 5 in the morning. Does it really exist, or is that an American thing?
No, it doesn't happen in person anymore. It's mostly online.
Yeah, people...
Talking about like recession and stuff. People are saying like it's really hard to like live nowadays because of the prices and stuff.
Yeah.
But this year they done the most sales on Black Friday. They done like 3.4 billion, I think it is.
But is that, do they?
That's the most they spent on the Black Friday.
3.4 what? Billion?
Yeah.
Billion.
Is that okay?
But it was online mostly. Online sales.
See, that's the thing, because it's online. My question is, do they actually not physically, do they purchase the whole thing, or is this a pay in 3 kind of? Do they include that? Because I mean, those sales make sense with the cost of living crisis. There's so many these credit card companies and stuff. They've offered so many different types of ways in order to buy stuff that you can't even afford. There's Pay in 3. There's
Monthly installments.
monthly installments. You can go on credit. You can take PayPal credit or Amazon credit, and they're encouraging more and more people to take out credit, which I find to be in this period of time is really dangerous. What do you guys think? Is it something that people should be taking advantage of, or something perhaps it could be an unintentional trap, perhaps for your
Use
finances?
it when you need it and you can afford it. As in, like, let's say you're getting your salary in like 3-4 days. You know, you can pay it off in 3-4 days.
Yep.
Or just use it every now and then. But do you not get addicted to it?
Yep.
It's the same as a credit card. Once you get addicted to it, it's like you can get the thing right now, even though you don't have the money.
Yep.
But down the line, you might not be able to repay it, and then you're gonna be in debt.
Yep.
And that's gonna affect you, like, on the long term. For example, mortgage, or if you wanna buy a car, or if you just wanna get a loan business, and yeah.
So the simple rule being, if it's not your money, don't have too much fun with it.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. What about things like for you, Gareth? During this time, because you're in the hospitality sector, what's the kind of jobs? What's jobs saying right now, in terms of work?
I don't get.
Because it's the end of the year. Is
it backed?
Is it is it the hospitality industry? Is it right now? Is it really busy, or has it slowed down at this time of the year because it's the end of the year?
Well, like I said in the last podcast, my job is hospitality from an agency, and from my experience as of right now, there's not many jobs that I can apply for on the app, which either means the people in my agency have taken it, or from another company they've already got people. So I assume that it's hectic, I guess.
Yeah, so it's quite difficult right now.
Yeah, it's difficult.
So I'm guessing you're looking forward to the new year for sure.
Yeah.
Because new year means new opportunities for all of us, I think. But mostly the new opportunities, for some, those new opportunities will come in the form of resolutions. So a very blunt question to everyone. I'll start with Jamie. Do you believe in New Year's resolutions? Yes or no?
I'm 50-50, yes and no. No, because people, I'm not going to assume everyone, but most people I know, when they say they have New Year's resolutions, they're always kind of generic and basic resolutions, nothing really specific or personal to themselves. Nothing that can actually resonate with someone or hit home for them. But then at the same time, yes, because they can be something for someone to, like a goal, or something they can strive to work towards in the new year to better themselves and become a better person. A couple for me, for example, trying to be more positive in life in general, think more positive, be more positive, both inwards to myself and outwards to the world in general, and to also try and get out of my comfort zone and do more things to, again, better myself and become a better person.
Brilliant. What about you guys? Do you believe in New Year's resolutions? What's your view on it
It's 50-50.
as well?
Yeah, it's 50-50. I agree with what Jamie said. For me, it really depends on the type of resolutions that you come up with. It needs to be, well, like what Jamie said, specific, not vague or basic, but at the same time, it needs to be a goal that is reasonable to achieve.
Yep.
And if not, then people don't really, what's the word for it?
They don't stick to it.
Yeah, they don't stick to it, yeah.
Yeah, and we do see that quite often, that a New Year's resolution starts on the 31st of December and it ends on the 2nd of January, which is, to be honest, and then you fall into the same cycle, and I think that really messes. Well, it depends on the type of person you are, but I think that can mess with your head. But what do you think, Danielle? What's your take on resolutions, New Year's resolutions?
I think it's like a eye opener. It's like if you're wasting time day by day. First of all, you should be aiming to improve yourself day by day, but it's like a slap on the face. Like right now, I'm 22, for example, and New Year's about to start. I'm going to be 23 next year. What have I done so far? So it's like wake up. I need to do something with my life rather than wasting time. But then it depends on the person. Well, like how much like on your dedication are you gonna actually put time to do it? And depends, what your goals are at the end of the day.
So, does anyone have any? I have my own take on it as well, but I wanted to ask: does anyone have any kind of advice on how someone could approach a New Year's resolution, even if it's just one? It doesn't have to be like five. Just one New Year's resolution. How someone could approach it? What's the best way?
I've got one. So, for example, my one is going to the gym consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in general, when you have a New Year's resolution, you shouldn't just go straight for the goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like step by step,
Absolutely.
and smaller steps is better than bigger steps, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, with my one, going to the gym, I shouldn't straight away be like, oh, 3 times a week or 5 times a week. So do once a week
Mm-hmm.
for a month or less, and then just gradually increase it, and then which hopefully makes me be consistent.
Okay. So that's your take on it. Does anyone have any different take, or do we agree with Gareth?
Yeah, I agree with Paris. Not striving for things above like a certain bar, starting off slow or starting small, and then, as Gareth said, gradually building up to a more bigger challenge. Yeah, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So yeah, same.
Absolutely. So in gaming terms, start with the mini bosses before you go for the big boss. Yeah.
Yeah.
That just reminded me of a quote. Sorry, this is super off topic, or off off brand. But actually no, I'll come back to it. I think it's a bit too random to include here. But Daniel, anything different, or you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. For me, I personally find, so we know scientifically it takes about 30 to 40 days for you to set a habit. So for me, obviously, I'm going to go with the obvious. For myself, the obvious answer is, for example, Ramadan. Yeah. The reason I mention Ramadan is because for 30 days consistently, you have to fast, right? And that's just one thing. For example, you fast and it's good for your health, for example, or you fast and you eat less during the day, and even you basically don't drink anything at all, and there's a structure in place. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that what we should do for the whole year is we just fast for the whole year. What I'm saying is Ramadan helps us to achieve something because we get used to it. Okay, even to the extent that after Ramadan's finished, sometimes it's really difficult when during the day when you start eating, it feels really strange, and it feels really weird to eat because you're so used to it. Your body's used to it. Your mind, psychologically, you're used to it. So I think in order to build a really good New Year's resolution, if you are going to approach it like that, is you have to start something small and something consistent, like Gary said, and you have to maintain it for the first 30 days, and after the first 30 days, you keep going and you keep doing it. And I think that's the most important thing. What I find is when I try to do gym, I fail very, very hard because I do gym 2 days, oh my muscles ache, and so on and so forth, and then I stop. Oh, let me have a rest day, and then I do it for 3 days. Oh, my muscles ache. Let me have a rest day. The rest days, I'm not gonna lie, they kill me. Kill me meaning they halt my progress, and I just I can't continue. But on a real note, consistency is key. If you want to keep a New Year's resolution, consistency is key. And that leads me to my next point, which is to also be consistent with our spending. Okay, in times we talk. Have you mentioned the cost of living? Kind of, yeah, more or less. We've talked about the cost of living, and everyone's in difficulty. But one thing that we forget to make a resolution of is, okay, look, we're looking after our bodies, very good, and so on and so forth. But how many of us are looking after ourselves financially? Because often than not, our finances is actually what ruins our bodies, and it's actually what ruins our health. Okay, our mental and physical health, and that is because finance right now, when you feel limited, when you feel kind of closed in and trapped, what happens is your finance kind of takes over your life, and it makes you unable to see the bigger and the clearer picture. So the reason why I say finances is, kind of one thing which drains your finances, and all four of us can resonate with this. One thing that drains your finances is food delivery apps like Uber Eats, Deliveroo. Uber Eats and Deliveroo, they really drain our finances because they take a lot for, things that we could either cook ourselves, make ourselves. We could even go to the takeaway itself and get it for cheaper. But we're spending our money on these apps, and often it's a big habit that people can't let go of. What do you guys think? How many of us here use food delivery apps?
Yes, I agree with you. But the thing with me is, I'm not, let's say, addicted to constantly using the food delivery apps. So once in a while, I would use it.
So that means you probably cook more.
I cook more than
Then you order.
Yeah.
And we can vouch for you. Your cooking is lovely.
Thank
We've
you.
enjoyed your cooking. What about Jamie? How often do you order food online?
So I've used Uber Eats, not that rarely, maybe 2 or 3 times every other weekend. Also, I've used not recently. During lockdown, I used grocery deliveries.
Like what?
Like generic shopping, bread, milk,
Is
tea
that
bag,
from
stuff like
the
that.
local ones or Tesco?
Like Tesco actual supermarkets.
And I thought like Tesco, and it's really difficult to get deliveries with them. It's like really booked out. Is that just during lockdown that was the case?
I would have said so, yeah, because obviously no one could go out and shop in person, so everyone was using grocery deliveries during that time period.
Fair enough. And what about Daniel? You see yourself, or do you use Uber Eats, Just Eat?
I don't really waste my money on food like that. Only drink, mostly milkshakes, and other than that, not really. But have you heard about Klarna and food companies now that you can buy food now, eat it,
Yep.
in 30 days or so?
Has that rolled out? Is that just an idea?
No, it's rolled out.
You can pay. You can eat now, pay later.
Yeah, let's do it after this podcast.
No. To be honest, if you aren't using food delivery apps right now, you're probably better off because. Do you guys remember? I was just mentioning earlier about the delivery driver.
Yeah.
So just to contextualize, a man orders a pizza for his family. I think it was a Wednesday. He orders a pizza for his family, and he goes. He spends £57, like £60 basically, on pizza. So it must have been feeding a lot of people. But anyway, the delivery rider, it was a lady, and what happened is she wasn't able to find where he lives. So what she does is she said, "Hey, I don't know where you live." So the man says, "Okay, I'll ping you my address. Come here." She says, "No, you come to me." So the man's like, okay, in a rush for the pizza, he leaves his phone at home and he runs to where the delivery rider is. Okay, he goes there, and the lady, there's this thing which I think you have to say the same code as them.
No, so on the app there's a code.
Yep.
And the delivery driver has it, so to confirm that it's you.
Okay.
You tell them the number when they deliver it.
Okay, so you tell them the same. So you say
The code.
the same number, and then they're like, "Okay, you're the person. I'm not just handing pizza to
Some
Bob."
random on the
Okay.
street.
Abdul.
Yeah, or Abdul. Okay. So what happens is the man, he says, "Look, I left my phone at home. I don't know the code. If you give me the pizzas, I'll run back and I'll come back to you." And the woman, she wasn't having it. She instantly starts punching and kicking the guy. Yeah. Punching and kicking. The man, he says, well, in the news article, he said he didn't want to hit her because she's a woman. She's alone doing delivery, deliveries. So what he did, he tried to push her away. And as he pushed her away, she bit into his thumb and ripped it clean off and bit into an artery. And blood was squirting out of his thumb. Now, She tried to then run away, and obviously his neighbors came out and stopped her. I think she got arrested afterwards. But I just think, man just wanted a pizza, and his thumb's gone, and he's a plumber and he's an engineer. So, I don't know what work he's able to
Top
do.
plumber lost his thumb.
So, I mean, it's sad, to be honest. But the worst part is he didn't even get the refund for the pizza.
Nope.
He was there with a bloody hand in hospital. He had to go hospital, and he's there with a bloody thumb, blood squirting out, and you can't even get a refund on his pizza. So the delivery, food delivery apps right now, I think it's best to avoid, especially if you're like Gareth and you're trying to work out and be consistent with your workouts, or you're like me and you don't want to have too many rest days. You don't want to sit at home watching too much TV. Probably best to avoid the food delivery apps and perhaps look into meal preps and things like that. But I do want to say one last thing, and it's a very important thing. With the new year comes new things, as we know, and this is a new podcast. So the best thing for our new viewers or listeners, the best thing for you would be to subscribe. Okay, so make sure you do subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you follow us on Spotify. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok. And the quote for this week is, the best time to start is now. Okay, I think that's a good one, guys. The best time to start is now. Okay, that's the quote of the week. Perhaps we should write it down somewhere. Okay, the best time to start is now. So if you have any New Year's resolutions, if you have any plans, if you have any goals, the best time to start is now. And one final thing, in the comments below, if you could answer our question for this week. What are your New Year's resolutions and how do you plan on achieving them? And last but not least, please do contribute some ideas. Do let us know what you would like to hear from us, speak about. And hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast, guys. Everyone all good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Happy? Then from myself and from the guys, or from the lads, it's been a pleasure and we hope to see you next time.
We'll see you later.
Latest Gators.
Goodbye for now.